Hello, everyone. Welcome to this week's Nerd Talk. I am Marty, your host. So, I apologize for not being here last week, but I ended up being sick. So sick that terrible cough, terrible sore throat, headaches, all that jazz. So, I honestly did not feel even well enough until probably Monday to even attempt. I just had this really persistent cough since being like the feverish sick. So, I do apologize for that. This week, we will be playing in the game of Total War, Total War Shogun 2. It's a really fun, grand strategy, turn-based type game. It's based in Japan, with the Shogun name. I'm playing in one of the southern islands. I wish I was good at pronouncing things in Japan, from Japan, sorry. In Japanese. I am not, so I'm not even going to try. All I know is my capital is Tosa, and I am the Czechoslovakia. Yep, see, that's where we're just going to end things. But you'll be watching me play this. It's fun because, for many reasons, but one of my favorite things about the Total War series, so I have this like turn-based economy management, and then I have, engaging in this battle, and then we go into like a real-time, type military fight. So that's what you'll be watching. I probably won't get too far, but you'll get to see some battles, see some turns go, all that fun jazz. So for this week, what I'll be talking about, first off, we'll be doing the Volo's Guide to Monsters character I make a character part dos. So we'll be talking a little bit about 5th edition. Then we'll be moving to a little bit about Pathfinder. I did some Pathfinder this week. After that, I will talk about some of the comics that I read for this week. And after that, we'll be going into talking about Deadpool, the game, not the comic book character, though that could be a comic for a later time. And lastly, if time bearing, we'll talk about some news I have about in the computer world. So the first thing I'm talking about is the fur blog. What's a fur blog? Well, that is the race that I'll be making this new character from. The fur blog is basically it's really hard for me to try and describe what it is, but it's essentially a giant from the Feywild. So the Feywild, I believe, is where the elves are from, where maybe the gnomes are from, but it's kind of the more mystical world compared to like where humans are from. Definitely more fairies and nature oriented, in my opinion. That's the feeling I get from it. It's a very nice, lovely place compared to the material world in many ways. But the fur blog is about 7 to 8 feet tall, very into nature. Their clans tend to be protecting some type of grove or garden, ancient temple ish type thing. They're just protecting nature, some form of nature, and they're definitely not civilized in the typical way that a lot of the other races would be. So they definitely sound like interesting adventures. Definitely harder to get. They're definitely more rare to see, and they're harder to kind of get out and out there. They really need like a kind of a big traumatic experience or like an omen to really get them out of their villages. So big giantish type things from Feywild. So for this, the abilities they get, so for ability score starting off, they get wisdom and 2 in wisdom, 1 in strength, and it kind of just reinforces that whole idea that they are part giant with that strength. And the wisdom's kind of reminiscent of some woodland-like creatures. wisdom tends to be very powerful when it comes to trying to exist in, survival is based on wisdom. Perception is based on wisdom. So definitely going after that, the whole outdoorsy stuff. The next thing, some of their neat traits. So one is called Hidden Step, which I just think is like would make this character a very good rogue if you want it. It's Hidden Step, so you just turn invisible for a round. I believe that is your standard action. I didn't read too in detail, but basically there's a round where you're just invisible, which seems really powerful actually. Like that could be a great way to try and escape. A great, fantastic way to try and escape some, like, just a round of damage, because that can make a huge difference. The other thing that could be, the other traits that it has, the next one is Detect Magic, which is just a nice utility spell to have. Yeah, there's nothing, like, getting a free casting of that, nothing wrong with that. And the other one that comes with that same trait is Disguise Self, which I think role-playing wise is really cool. I feel like that has a lot of stuff that you can end up having fun with. Such as, so one of my ideas, since the Furbolg aren't, typical in human societies as much, is that you actually are scared of going into town, and that you only show your true self to your to the people in the group. So when you go to town, you try and limit it to less than an hour, so you disguise yourself to look more human, so people aren't staring at you. I'm trying to think of what else. Yeah, so there's that, or just you're just afraid of your own true self. The next one is that they get to speak Common, Elf, and Giant. So Common, everyone gets to speak Common. Elf, a lot, elves get to speak it, so it's not terribly uncommon. Giant, not the most common. That's definitely something someone has to pick up, or there's a couple races. But, being able to do Elf and Giant, I just like having more languages. The more, the better. It doesn't always mean that it's gonna be the best thing ever, but I always find them nice. After that, they are able to carry a lot more stuff, so that's yay. They count as a large character when you're determining how much they can carry. If you have a DM who's picky about that, that's probably huge. I never had, so that's not necessarily the greatest thing in the world, but I mean, there's so many races have stuff like those traits where you're just like, oh, it's something, I guess. So now what am I gonna build? So you kind of get an idea. They're kind of wilderness like, and I'm definitely gonna go and play that up. So I think the big thing I would do with this is I'm gonna make a druid. Like, I saw this, the wisdom +2. I'm just like, I'm going druid. Just because there's wisdom doesn't mean you necessarily need to go down this route. But that's where I want to go. You could definitely make like a ranger out of this. That is definitely that is definitely stuff I've heard other people think about. I'm not big on rangers, so I didn't feel like that. Other ones, cleric wouldn't be too bad. You could do a rogue, but I feel like without getting the benefits in your abilities, no dex bonus, like I wouldn't be happy about it, because if I'm gonna go a completely dex based like character like the rogue, like I am going all out. So I decided druid. With that, I would be getting traits like, for the skills that you get to pick, I do perception, insight. I'm playing scimitar druid because I love the scimitar, and I'm always putting dex into my characters, so I'm definitely gonna be having fun with that. For the actual abilities, let me go down that first. So since we're wisdom, a wisdom-based class, uh, we are a wisdom-based class, so I'm going to put 15 into wisdom. So that's 9 points out of my 27 spent by doing 15. I don't know how they come up with the numbers for how much I spent, but so 17 in wisdom. So I'm going to have a +3 in wisdom. It's going to make my spells better. It's going to make my wisdom-based skills better, which is going to be nice. After that, my next highest will be Dex. I am a Dex whore. I love Dex because Dex can be used in 5th edition to help me do damage, like with a Scimitar, and it can also help my armor class. So I like both because I'm usually ending up in the front line. It's not always recommended. You don't always need Dex, but I am definitely a Dex-based person. And so I'm going to play something that, that's how I play. That's just how I do it. After that, the next one is Khan. I chose Khan because I also really prefer to have some hit points. I don't want to go down easily. I hate going down. I don't like being a super fragile character. So I have Khan. That's going to be a +2. So I have +2 in Dex. So my armor class is 14, which isn't great. And I'll have +2 in my health. So I'll start out at 10 and go up by 7 each time. That's definitely nothing to go home about, being like, I am the beefiest person ever. But it's better than being super squishy. Which frankly, I didn't need to worry about too much. But this is when I'm, typical mode. I have a -8 in intelligence and charisma. The charisma makes sense to me. For the fact that the Furlog is just not used to being around people. Actually, they don't even have typical names. Like, they'll adopt a name, and they just adopt whatever's given to them. So it's kind of funny how they do that. The other thing is, so they don't really even have names, which is, I found a really interesting thing. But, just not around civilization, all that. So that's why the charisma's down. The other thing with intelligence is they're not, they're from, I just don't see them being like, they don't have these libraries. They're not in these places of extreme studying, universities, colleges. So I have an 8 there, so it's a -1 intelligence tax. But, he just wouldn't really know as well. And I think that makes sense to me too. And 8's not saying you're stupid. One thing I feel like a lot of people I play with, like, you can definitely play your character stupid, and that's fine. But technically, from what I've read, 8's more of, like, that's the average NPC. That's like C's. They're not stupid. They're just not well versed. They're not at a adventurer level of stuff. So, they're not going to be the most charismatic, most persuasive person in the world. But, that's totally fine. I mean, whatever. So that was, and then the last one is strength at 11. I did that because I had an extra, so I was just going to put it at 10, so I have a +0. Just because why not? I have 1 in strength, so going up by 1. But just how I did Khan at 14 and did some in strength, I ended up with an extra point. So I decided that extra point could just go into strength again. Because I just felt like 9 is kind of silly. It's still a -1. Yes, 11 will still be a +0. But in case I want to increase strength. Also, it just makes more sense with the fur blog. I hope I'm saying that right. But it just makes sense because they have that extra strength. They're kind of giant like they can carry well. So if I ever need help with strength check, at least I'm not a -1. So that's my abilities. Wisdom 17, Dex 15, Con 14, 8 for intelligence, charisma, and 11 in strength. So how I'm gonna be playing this is there's 2 paths for druids. One path is I don't even know it because I never take it. And the other one is this thing called Wild Shape. Now, wild shape is you transforming into creatures, and it's awesome. And at the early levels, it is very much just overpowered. Like you're like second and third level, you're just crazy. Fourth level, it kind of peters down a little, and eventually gets cooler. But I really like this because so not only does he transform to fight in the wild shape ability, which no matter what you get as a druid, it's just if you go down the circle of the moon, you just get better things with it. Like it's just improved upon. Well, I believe the other one just helps with the other route just helps with spells and just non-wild shape abilities. Oh, is that I hope that's my headphones. Sorry, I had a little audio thing with my mic. But yeah, wild shape, definitely going for it. It makes sense with the disguise himself. So my Furblog is more comfortable in his being something he's not than he is being comfortable being himself. So he will be, like I said, he will be transforming all the time, doing all these things. So I'm definitely building up the wild shape. When he's non-wild shape, he will be using his scimitar. So that's why I have Dex. The Dex will help more bonus damage with the scimitar. The next thing is that I'll be wearing the typical leather armor, so not the greatest AC. So I really shouldn't be in the front line, but if needed be, I can be there. And in case I come out of wild shape too early or about to get plunder, I'm going to be using the spell Thunderwave to try and blast people away. And because I just find it one of the best first level spells you can have damage wise. After that, I have Cure Wounds for my other spell just because sometimes I just need to be that just heal some people. And I think my guy's kind of more of I see him as kind of like a you know, that friendly giant character you have in your group. Yeah, he'll fight, but he doesn't always do it. He's generally more friendly and all that stuff. So that's why I'll be having some cure. You know, I'll be in that more friendly side, being like, oh, let me help you. For skills, I'm going to be doing perception. Just because when you don't have perception, you always want it. And when you have it, sometimes it comes in real good handy, and sometimes you're like, but it's better to have it than not. So I will be picking up perception. I will be picking up insight because my guy's going to be slightly paranoid about strangers. So I want to be able to try and pick up on what they're doing. And that kind of goes with just they didn't grow up in this town and stuff, so they just don't know these people, and so he's gonna be, you know, very insightful, try and figure out people's stuff. For the background, I decided to go with Outlander. It's between Outland and Hermit. I liked Outlander for its skills, so athletics and survival, and then its ability to help me scavenge in case I need to, and because I get another language, and just having a bunch of languages. I love having a bunch of languages. So just to be able to understand people, I think would be very useful. And I think it makes sense for a Furblog to try and learn these languages, just to have an idea, to better get acquainted with the world. So yeah, Furblog, Druid, wild shape form, always just gonna be scared to be himself. Just the little friendly giant who's just so innocent. So yep. The next step is to talk a little bit about Pathfinder. So I discovered a thing called Pathfinder Society. It's kind of like Adventure League, but with Pathfinder. And I decided to try out my local game store because they're there every other weekend. And I'm just like, you know what? I'm going to try it because I remember playing Pathfinder and I had a lot of fun. So Sunday, kind of at the spur of the moment, 2 hours before, I'm just like, let's do this. And then I realized, oh crap, I have to actually like make a character. And I will admit, I totally forgot how much work it is to build a character in 5th edition. sorry, not 5th edition, Pathfinder. Oh, that was bad. It is just so much work, and honestly, it just makes me truly appreciate how concise. Concise, is that the right word? How streamlined. There we go. How streamlined Wizards made from. So Wizards didn't make Pathfinder. I will clarify that. What Wizards made was 3.5 of Dungeons and Dragons, and then for me and my friend group, another company made Pathfinder, and I apologize, I do not know the name of the company who did that at the top of my head. I think it's like Paizo, or that might be just the website that's in charge of it. But to me, Pathfinder was 4th edition. 4th edition itself is something that's kind of gotten bad rap. I mean, there might be some people who like it, but me and my friends didn't want to touch it at all. So Pathfinder was kind of a simplification of 3.5, making it better for like multi-classing. But there's just one thing with Pathfinder. There's so much to it. There's just crazy amounts of there's just too much. It's hard to keep it all track in my head. And making a character, I remember why I used to hate the first meeting in a group, because it literally takes you just a couple hours to make it. Like, I didn't even get a full character made before thing. I had to get like a pre-gen one and then kind of make my own marks on it. But I had a lot of fun, and I'm excited because I'm going to be playing a class that I absolutely adored called the Brawler. So it's a mix of fighter and monk. The last time I played it, I was a little bit higher level, and so there's a lot more feats in Pathfinder that you can get. And you could just build so specific into different things you want. So I'm building into a disarming, grappling, tripping type brawler. So if you try to get up next to somebody in Pathfinder, you get attack of opportunity. And if you disarm them and they try to rearm themselves, attack of opportunity and all that stuff. So I'm just trying to abuse attack of opportunities, get combat reflexes so I can just do this all the time, and just really just there's a way where I can disarm someone, and then with my other fist I punch them for damage, and just all this crazy attacks and stuff. I remember playing it with some friends, and it was just awesome. I just felt so good doing it. It was just a blast, and I just want to bring him back. But of course, he's not going to be exact because, one, I really don't remember how I built him. So I will have to deal with the fact that I can't quite remember, but it'll still be fun. And the nice thing is there's a little flexibility. There's actually a feat called martial flexibility that the brawler gets, in that he is able to just pick up a feat on the fly instead of actually moving. So that's pretty neat. And I will definitely be using that a lot when I make mistakes in trying to create my guy again. I'm excited also because he has an awesome name, Iskandar, which is an anime character from Fate Zero / Alexander the Great's Greek name, I believe. I just know Alexander Great in Fate Zero, who's a character. A lot of explain, but that's basically Alexander the Great's name in this anime I watch, and I just absolutely love it. And the original guy was based on him and One Piece, Luffy and Luffy's grandfather kind of mix. So Mr. Punch-a-Lots. So I'm excited for that. I'm not 100% sold yet on the Pathfinder Society, because so it's nice because there's a bunch of meetups and I can basically do it every day if I really wanted to. But the one thing I really enjoyed from doing Adventure League for D&D, at least, was the fact that I could I was able, there's a season. I'm going through a book. I'm not doing a bunch of like one-off modules, which is what I was getting from, definitely what I'm getting from Pathfinder Society. So that, it was a little unfortunate that they do a lot more one-shots. Hopefully someone does seasons, and maybe they do, and I just don't know yet. The other thing is that instead of leveling up by experience, you just level up by showing up 3 times, which is nice in one side, where when you're super high leveled and stuff, that you're just like, oh hey, I leveled up, yay is me. But when I'm a level 1 and have to go 3 rounds instead of adventure leagues, which is just one time you pretty much get it, it just kind of but I'm still gonna do it for a while, at least, to try and build this character. There's pluses and minuses to how the system works, and that's just life and all that. So that was Pathfinder Society. I'll see how that goes, but seriously, 5th edition Wizards, you did a great job with your 5th edition. You get a kudos from me. I don't know how you did it, but you just made it much easier. Moving on to comics. So, being as sick as I was, I didn't get to read a plethora of comics, which is unfortunate. But I will be talking about Wonder Woman this week, and moving on with Batman. So for Wonder Woman, I actually read 2 of the comics. One of which was issue 2, because I've already read one a while ago. So issue 2 is called Year 1, Part 1. And I also read issue 3, which is not of the same arc. It is from an arc called Lies. It has something to do with lies in the name. But it seems that they'll be switching back and forth, which is something I'm looking forward to. Because her whole origin story, I'm just like, I don't really need it. Like, I've been there, I've seen it a bunch of times. It's interesting. It's new stuff. Like, it's not just doing like right when she leaves. They did some build up to it, but it's nice going to this other arc that's like post New 52 and all that. So you get to learn about like what she's dealing with, and they also pull in Cheetah and this is issue number 3, which is the new story, and it's bringing in Cheetah, who seems to be an actual former friend of Diana, Wonder Woman, which I realized I don't know a whole lot about Cheetah, and so I'm kind of like, oh yeah, that'll be good to learn more about her and see her story. I'm always about trying to learn more about these different characters, and they'll be finding a common enemy who's torturing Cheetah. Year 1, like I said, pretty typical, except for they added more Steve Trevor and his background, which I liked, but I also kind of So it was great because I get to learn more about Steve Trevor. Another figure I don't know a whole bunch about, and usually when I do, it's like his Golden Age version, which really I don't need to know about the Golden Age versions of anyone, because I'm not in the Golden Age when I'm reading this stuff. I'm in the Rebirth Age, so it's great learning about that. But they had a super cliche where they have like his best friend, and they're going on a mission, and then his friend dies, and like they build up the whole relationship, but like the whole friend dying right when he meets Wonder Woman, like just him dying, like why did the best friend have to die? I liked him. Tragic stories are that of superheroes, but what are you gonna do? As of now, I'm interested to see where it goes. I really don't know much about Wonder Woman, I'm realizing, or all the Olympus stuff. Not, there's definitely more I could be learning, basically. But, it's not catching my attention as much as Batman. But, I mean, if you couldn't tell up to this point, I'm just too diehard of a Batman fan. But yeah, that's Wonder Woman 2 and 3. I like how they're switching between the two, so I definitely think it'll be a good read. It'll keep me excited, refreshed, and it'll keep my interest going. So then I did Batman 11. So last time Batman got himself captured. I'm like, what? What are we doing? Like, why are you charging in? So, oh, it's part of the plan. Okay. So Batman charged in, gets captured, but it's all part of the plan. And it's just moving us forward. This one was a good one. In that I just didn't see how it ended happening. So first off, for some reason, the ventriloquist very important. And we don't know why. We just know he's super important. And Batman's like, if the ventriloquist doesn't come back, Catwoman, when they're doing their split up and stuff, like this mission we're screwed. So I'm just sitting here like, why is he important? Like, can I get more info? The other thing is shit hits the fan again. So they're all splitting up, getting there. Looks like they're in position, and then suddenly Catwoman betrays them because you find out Catwoman is gonna be killed for all. She killed like 300 people almost. So she's in there for a very good reason. So she's about to get executed for that. And I'm just like, what? So I guess Batman brought her on the mission to try and avoid that, but she doesn't believe he will be able to get her out of it. So she decides to betray them all and try and get money from Bane and a way to disappear if she betrays them all. So that was like, what? And she ended up killing the super disguise guy. He was a guy who like basically disguised as Chief Gordon to find his like woman while we're doing the Suicide Squad issue a couple weeks ago. And I don't know much about him, and now his girl got her throat slashed at by Catwoman. I don't know if that's death, but you know, when your throat gets slashed, that seems kind of death-like. So that might have happened, and then he looked like he could have died. And I it just leaves you right there when Batman's just like, no! So that will be interesting to see how that develops. Yeah, I even put, like, in my notes, I put, like, a sad face because Catwoman betrayed them, and I didn't want that. Like, I really like Catwoman. I want her to be around. But, of course, you know, I like the idea of them being together, and I know that'll never happen because it's Batman and stuff, so shucks. So that was the comics for the week. Next was going to be talking about a video game I recently got in my possession, which is Deadpool. When I saw it like the first 10 minutes ago, like a couple years ago, when it first came out, and it looked interesting, and now I finally got to play it, and I have to say, story-wise, like, they made a good Deadpool game. Like, it felt like Deadpool. Like, everything I think of Deadpool that I've learned from some comics, some TV shows, even the movie, like, all that stuff I learned about him, like, I felt like they knew him, so they did the game how it should be done with him. The game was it was kind of like third person, so I'm watching him from a third person perspective, and we're beating the crap out of a bunch of people with swords and guns, which he does. So the fighting was like XXY, like X is light attack, Y is strong attack. You mix them together and you get something. B can counter, A is to jump, so pretty typical stuff. But B is also the dodge, but it's not dodge, it's teleport. So that was actually really entertaining, just like poof, 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 poof. It's definitely better than just a simple dodge roll or anything like that. And it's actually probably a real thing in his stuff. I'm not so well versed in his lore. So it was really fun watching him do stuff like that. Poof, poof, poof. It was kind of fun and relieving, you know, beating the living crap out of people. Trying to think of what else. Uh, yeah. So the actual story was very short. First off, the campaign was pretty short, and the story itself was kind of like there was a story. I don't know. Supposed to beat up Sinister because he took our contract, and Deadpool's going through his game, and then the other people are there. Not saying it's like, oh, there was zero plot in this. It was just, Deadpool's motivations were very lackluster, and which is fine because that makes sense. And if this was a typical superhero movie, that one. If this was like one of your more typical superhero movies, it would have been superhero video games. It would have been Sinister is doing bad stuff, and we need to stop him from destroying everything. Yada da 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 da. Let's go. And then slowly destroying his plans. But Deadpool is just like, I'm killing him because he took my money, because he killed my contract. Bah. Yeah. You just look at it and it's like, yeah, I guess that's how Deadpool would have done it. His dialogue's fantastic. I was laughing all the time. All the laughter. What else? Yeah, so there's a lot of laughter. The side characters were kind of there, but you know that Deadpool wouldn't want them there too much, otherwise it'd be taken away from him. So I definitely got that out of watching it. Overall, I if you're not a Deadpool fan, I don't think you'd like it. And even if you are, it's personally I got done with the campaign. It was very short in my opinion, and I'm done with the game. I don't need to play anymore. I don't need to do the challenges. I don't need to go to hard levels or anything. I got what I needed out of it. And honestly, I was even surprised it ended. It just kind of ended. You're just I guess I'm there. Is there gonna be anything more? No. Okay. I guess I'm done. Okay. Fun. Yay. So that was kind of, I wouldn't say it was kind of a letdown, I guess. It was just oh yeah. Kind of whimpered out, but the journey was great. They did a good job. If you like Deadpool, you'll enjoy it. I wouldn't want to pay a full price game for it, but definitely on sale or something like that. Renting it or anything like that. If it was a little bit longer, that'd be great. If they made a sequel, that'd be awesome. But whoever did the writing, the script, and dialogue, good job. Whoever did the gun mechanics, I didn't do so well with the guns. They were hard to control because, if I'm gonna use guns, I'm more used to, I guess, Halo games where I'm closer to it. But since you're not actually in that perspective, it's a little bit different. The guns were kind of hard to aim. The auto aim was just shit. There was an auto aim, and at times it was fantastic because it hit the guy. But to try and you had to get into a certain area with it to line it up just right, so it would actually get you to the auto aim. Which I'm and you definitely need to use guns because there's gonna be people shooting you, and swords just don't cut it when you're trying to go long distances and all that. So that was God, it was really I feel bad for ranting about, but I just did not like the guns so much. It was just disappointing. But personally, I didn't need guns. I like just doing the swords. It sucked when I had to transition over. But the weird thing is the upgrading, and I didn't play on the hardest difficulty, so this might be just a me thing. But it was really easy to unlock the best guns, the futuristic guns, which did all the power. And it was really easy to get these trip mines, which were hella awesome. They're I don't know, they're the farthest to the right in the grenade area, and the gun was the farthest right, these futuristic. And I didn't even upgrade the swords because I didn't need anything more. It was just sword, and more combos you do, the better. Sword. Oh, there's a person in distance. Shoot. They did, one thing I will say about the guns is sometimes when I was comboing and stuff, I was able to press the trigger for shooting while like X, X, Y, R trigger. And it was able to flawlessly go into my thing and shoot people. And it shot, like, it broke a lot of shields and stuff, so it was a nice shield breaker. So I give them that. But just try to straight up shoot someone was a pain in the ass. But I guess if I had to rate it out of 10, I would rate it a cough. Sorry. I would probably rate it at, I don't know, 7. It was enjoyable, but I'm glad that I have GameFly. So I can get a new game. It just doesn't have longevity to it. I wouldn't be able to get my $1 to an hour to dollars I paid for it, because I think it took me like 10 hours to beat it, and that'd mean it would have to be a $10 game. So if it was $10, yes, but I don't think it was. So that was Deadpool. 7 out of 10. Not good longevity. Great script. And I guess we're getting to the final part, and that is the last topic. My good news. My good news is I'm making a desktop for the first time. I also have no idea what I was doing, so it took a lot of research and guides and this and that and da da da. But yes, I actually have all the parts too. I am very excited for this. To be able to make this. What I will be doing with it is, well, it's going to be my new place to record stuff from. Because I honestly really needed to do that. My laptop can only do so much so well, and it's getting kind of old, out of warranty. And honestly, like, a lot of these computer games that I'm recording, I can't even do it in, like, a good window. Like, all of it's less than optimal because I just don't have the capabilities. So I'm getting a new desktop. It's gonna be awesome. It was expensive. It's as expensive as my laptop was, so it's like $1,000 or so. But it's gonna be so much nicer. I'm gonna have like 16 gigabytes of RAM, something that's really we haven't even started. Oh, that guy just wants to get up. But yeah, it's gonna have 16 gigabytes of RAM, so it's gonna be a monster. I don't even know if I'll be able to force myself up to that level of RAM. I'm gonna have a solid state and a hard drive. So that means like 480 solid state to help my OS system, some of my video recording stuff, and maybe EU4, cause Europa Universal's 4, because it's one of my more favorite games. After that, I will probably be. I don't know. I have to be careful what I put on the solid state because I don't want to fill it up too much too quick. So a couple apps here and there. We'll see in time. But then I have a quite large enough hard drive. I think it was 3 terabytes. It makes me drool. I have i5 6060 something. It's a really good i5. Should be more than enough. Oh, I have a monster of a video card. I can't even tell you the name. It's G4. I don't know what I'm saying when I'm talking about this stuff. But it's one of the better ones. It was like $400. So it's expensive. It came with it. It came with Watch Dogs 2. So once I get this all together, you'll be able to watch something like that. It has liquid cooling. The only issue I currently have with it is that, one, I'm not too confident when it comes to like putting cords and stuff, so I'll have to figure out that with the tower and the motherboard and whatnot. That's not too bad, but I don't have a keyboard or a monitor yet for it. I don't even have a desk. I use TV trays. They work perfectly for my laptop, but I feel like that's a little too janky for this level of desktop. So Christmas is coming around, but it's not soon enough. Like, am I right? Like, I have all this stuff I want, and I finally figured out what I want, and it's gonna take like 3 weeks to get there, but I have all the PC stuff now because Cyber Monday deals. So I'm gonna be struggling with that for the next couple of weeks, but you gotta live your life. But yeah, good news is, yeah, the PC's being built. I guess some homework for myself. Continuing Wonder Woman, Batman, and I'll need to get into the Flash. I'll be doing more Pathfinder. I'm doing it Thursday instead of Sunday. I did it last Sunday, and I'm gonna be doing it this Thursday. So we'll see how that goes. So Wednesday D&D, Thursday Pathfinder. See if I can keep the rules different in my head. After that, I'll probably see Rogue One, so I'll be able to tell you if it's worth seeing. Trust me, I haven't seen it yet. It's worth seeing. It's gonna be awesome. But that is Nerd Talk for this week. So have a good week, and I'll see you next time. Like and subscribe. Comment if you have any ideas. Thank you very much. Bye.